and welcome everyone to the fourth episode of fourth Spoilercast for the fourth episode of Ms.Marvel. As always, I'm Mitch. You can find me on Twitter at 692tweets, and of course, I'm joined by Sean.
You can join me at Marvel the Martian _12 on Instagram.
Now, where do we begin? Where do we begin?
Guys, I have not talked to Mitch about this, so I'm not sure where he lands on this.
Oh, I mean, you sent me the laughing emoji like you always do, and it's just like, oh, great, I'm getting honey dicked again. Oh, fantastic. Oh, great. It's exactly what I want this show to, like, really string me along by the short and curly, so then just be like, psych.
No.
The worst bit is I know it's going to happen. I can feel it in my bones that it's going to absolutely honey dick me. And I'm starting to resent it for it.
A little pessimistic, man. Be pessimistic.
Look, if I don't expect anything, I can't be disappointed.
It's true.
So this show's making a really strong case for me to be disappointed. I know.
So I take it you don't like this episode.
I do. This is the problem. I really like the show. I like this episode. I'm still missing the creative little stuff. You know, it's gone down to just one thing an episode now. You know, the whole kite thing with you three is like, yeah, I like that. Where's more of this stuff? But
yeah, I mean,
it's not like it's hurting this show. I just feel like it's lost a tiny little bit of the charm that it had at the start.
I feel like that was more appropriate, like before the superhero life happened to her.
I mean, yeah, I was saying on the commentary with Armin and Tristan, it's like, you know, she's all comfortable and happy in New Jersey, and that's why it was all over the place. And she's slowly getting out of her comfort zone, being in Pakistan. You know, she's wildly out of that. So her demeanor is going to change. You're not really going to get that. But it's interesting that the one thing she does get it for was for is it Kareem? That's his name. Yeah. I want to say Cameron or Cameron, and I was like, no, it's not Cameron. It is Kareem. The old little red dagger boy. And it's like I find it interesting that he's the one to get that, and like the Nakia is just generic text on the window. It's like I see like the visual storytelling in that you can see where it's going.
She's prioritizing boys, yes.
Exactly. Hormonal teenagers. What can you do?
Poor Bruno, though.
Bruno. Like,
I feel bad for Bruno. Like, he's kind of like puppy dog.
And that's what you get for following someone about your entire life. Like, take your shot or not. Like, goddamn, man, come on.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this episode, especially the whole Pakistan. It's gorgeous, you know, like the.
Yeah, it's nice to see other countries like that without a yellow filter on it.
Yeah. What other ones did that? I can't remember. Like, was it
literally Moon Knight? the show right before this, when he went to Egypt, was like, oh, cool. There's no yellow filter. Thank God.
I'm old, so. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that kind of. I don't know. I guess, you know. I think that was like the aesthetic of the show. So I think the aesthetic of this show is kind of like it feels like.
I mean, I wasn't saying Moon Knight had a yellow filter. I was saying that Moon Knight was the one that didn't have it. Like, obviously, stuff like Wonder Woman 84, where it's just like bang.
Oh, that
was horrendous.
So bad. It's like kind of on the nose too, because it's like, oh, we're in the desert, so we're gonna put a yellow filter on it to make it look like a desert. And
it's not like Sam Raimi's like, hey, we're in New York. Here's a yellow filter. It's like, oh, everything that's kind of ugly.
That's New York in general. I mean, like that looks like.
I mean, is it really that yellow?
It can't. I mean, like at nighttime, it look because it's like. At nighttime, if you go into certain places, it does look like a yellow filter because like the street lights are that, you know, the yellow.
I suppose street. Yeah, but it's like middle of the day when that movie's happening. It's just like, oh, it's yellow.
There's a little smog too.
Yeah, it's like someone's peed on the lens. Like, lovely.
I mean, it's New York. I wouldn't put it past it.
Fair point.
Like, a lot of things going on in the daytime.
Yeah.
I miss New York.
Yeah, it sounds like you can get peed on everywhere you go. Great.
I mean, some people might. I mean, some ex-presidents
I mean,
might like that,
not
you
to
know?
judge anyone's kink. If you like the golden shower, you like the golden shower. That's totally
So-
fine with me.
Don't necessarily like yellow very much, but like, you know, I miss the atmosphere of the city. Not the urination, but yeah. So Pakistan, yeah. Did you
Sorry,
like the cinematography was great in the show too.
I mean, the show looks fantastic. It's looked fantastic from the beginning.
So what do you think about the villains so far? I mean, like
What,
it
the
looks like
clandestine?
it looked like they've offed a couple of them in the process.
Honestly, I think they're making a very strong case to be the worst villains of these Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is saying a lot because we have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier people over there, and they had editing issues because of COVID. Like, so there's something like
no excuses.
damn, like you have to try to be.
I think they're just desperate. That's all.
Yeah. It's
make a lot of mistakes.
Like, I get, you know, you focus on your protagonists and the relationships around them, which great. It's what I'm here for in this show because all that stuff's fantastic. Like the 3 generations of the family we had, like with Kamala and her mum and her mum and the grandma, like fantastic. Like I adore that stuff. But the villains are so, you know, they feel like such an afterthought that even in the editing of the episode, the timeline wasn't great because you had Kamala with the red daggers and Waleed and Kareem in their little hideout. Then it cuts to the clandestine breaking out Superman, which is, by the way, a very nice Easter egg for She-Hulk there. And then the next scene, they're breaking through the damn roof in this hideout. It's like, well, hold on, how? What's the timeline of everything going on? It's like that much of an afterthought that it's like, I'll just put it there. They're going to show up here. Just put them there. Like, that's fine. That's my only problem with this episode is the timeline and how pointless the clandestine seem to be right now.
I feel like they just wanted the characters there at that time. So, like, they're just like, hey, they're here. You know, no explanation.
They're very much a means to a Kamala's end, just to get her from A to B. They are nothing but that, and it's unfortunate. Yeah. It's slightly disappointing, but it's, you know.
I think I think, what's her name? The leader of the.
I have no idea.
I don't want to like.
I actually have no idea. You know, the ones that they all got killed off in this episode. There's only one left now, or 2 because you got Cameron.
Cameron, yeah.
They were never named. It's just like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure if the mum's named. Like, I just can't
believe
remember.
Auntie or something. But like, yeah.
I'm gonna try and Google it. Hold on. See if she's got a name. If she doesn't, I'm gonna find it hilarious.
Villain number 1. Yeah.
Najma?
I think it was said. I just like I don't know. I have a very hard time pronouncing, so I don't even attempt to pronounce the names. You know, like I don't want to disrespect it. You know, so I just don't.
Yeah, I think it's Najma. That's how I'm gonna say it. If it's wrong and someone wants to correct me, go ahead and correct me. It'll do me a favor. It'll make me not look like an idiot. No, that's very hard.
Education is not bad.
Exactly. So yeah, there's it's like it's like they exist solely to make people think that she's a Jew. And it's like literally everything about them is bad. Just get them out the show. Just push. I don't care if they're part of the plot. Just get them out the show. Just push them. Just
push.
If it gets rid of the Jew stuff, cool. Push them.
Do you think they're the real villains though?
I had this thought just because of how vague they are as characters. It's like, are they actually the villain, or is there going to be someone? Are we going back to formula, to quote Norman Osborn, like, where it's the real villains in the last 2 episodes, and we haven't alluded to him at all. Yeah, I'll be honest, that's a fear. That was a fear the other day. I did think of that. But I think if that did happen, it might be better because at least it'll be a named villain. I hope.
A person
might actually do something and
a character with motive.
You know, if they bring out Maximus at the end, cool, fantastic.
I know you would be very happy if that was.
I'd be ecstatic with that. And it would make sense if it was Maximus at the end.
I mean, sure. Like,
it's not going to happen. I know that for a fact.
So, did you notice the 2 rings or the 10 rings symbol? I think it was
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it.
I did. See, I'm old.
The whole conversation about it being the Negabands and tied to Shang-Chi.
I told you I'm old. Very bad memories.
Because we both agreed that if those 2 things, the 10 rings and the bangle in this are the Negabands, and it takes away from 3 characters at once.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I apologize, people.
It's been a long week, even though it's only been 4 days since we recorded that one. But it's fine. It's whatever.
Well, 4 days is like 4 weeks to me, so be fair. Yeah, and she's slowly getting her costume. By the way, did you notice that?
I like that because I don't know if it's gonna be how I'm thinking it's gonna be, but it feels like that's gonna be the blue on her suit. Yeah. They're gonna make it out of that because looking at it, it's like you can see the red is a bit armory. It's like cool. That's the bit that Bruno's gonna make. So that's the American side, and then you got the blue, which is obviously going to be the dress, and that's going to be the Pakistani side, and that's how you meld the costume together.
So what was the name of the thing that it's not a bird, is it a? God, that sounds really retarded. I'm sure people are going to laugh at me. It's not a burqa, right? Like that.
What, a thing Nakia wore?
The blue
Oh no, the burqa's a headscarf, isn't it? I'm not sure what the jacket, like the shirt that she wore. I don't know. If that's
I'm 100% sure in the comments people are like, "This guy's an idiot."
I mean, hey, if they are, it's got this engagement. It's all good.
I will make more moments like that though. You can guarantee that. I feel like she's like, I like the idea of the costume having meaning versus just here's the costume, you know.
Yeah.
But like you get so many, like I think Moon Knight had that in a little bit about with the costume being, but there wasn't really big mention about the meaning of the costume or anything like that. It was just like the costume appeared.
I mean, with Moon Knight, you know, they had that line about it being the ceremonial armor for Khonshu, and it's like, you know what, cool, I'm fine with that. And then
you get the Mr. Knight.
Stephen Grant's like, oh, it's a suit. I need a suit.
Yeah. But like, I think this does it one better though. If it goes according to what you think it is, you know, it goes.
I mean, if it's doing what I'm thinking it's doing, then yeah, I think that's the best way of doing it.
You know,
because the whole show is really playing on the duality, or maybe I don't know what the ality would be for 3. Tripality. Dropality.
Another engagement.
Yeah.
People tell us what that means. A trilogy, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, the trilogy of culture she has going on here, you know, is very much leaning into all that. So having that in the suit would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but
and from that picture you've seen of it, the fabric looks like it's got all the
textures.
Yeah.
The textures of the symbol.
It looks like it's from like South Asian and all that. I quite like it.
Yeah. But
I'm surprised. I don't know why I'm surprised, but I'm very surprised that the domino mask works.
Oh, not really. I never understood that. Like, you clearly can tell who that is, right?
I mean, yeah, you can. Well, this is the thing, right? You know, not everyone knows everyone.
It's true.
Like, sure, someone's gonna go, I think that's Kamala. Like, you know, sure, it's weak in that point, but like no one knows that. You can't really do a facial scan with it.
But like, what's gonna happen when you go home? Like, everybody knows they're in Jersey, right? Like, you know, like the domino mask is not gonna protect an identity, you know.
I mean, maybe not, but it's
Yeah,
more
like,
about
in
like
the-
seeing the color of the skin, isn't it, as opposed to hiding behind a full face mask. So.
What is that called? Because like I talk
What, the
about that. I
mask?
talk to no. You say you know how there's kind of fucking old. So like you know how like Superman wears or Clark Kent wears the glasses, but he's like when he
The
turns into Superman,
disguise?
yeah. But there's like this. There's like something. It's like a condition that people have where they can't recognize.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I
I
can't
cannot
think of
remember
what it's
the
called.
actual name of it, but like, but
It's a
I
bit like a
mean, I guess
Mandela effect, isn't it?
something like that. Yeah, I can't. It's not necessarily that, but like, it's like sometimes people can't. Like I don't know. God, I'm so.
I mean,
I
there
need it.
is, if someone, if I put my sunglasses on and walk down the street, I'd be very surprised if, if you're not looking out for said person
Yeah,
and like half the
but
face is covered, you're not gonna really recognize them unless they point out to
I
you that you're there.
but I think the domino mask is silly. I mean, like the concept of a domino mask is silly because it's like,
See, I've never liked them, and it was one bit I was concerned about how it was gonna work, but I feel like it works.
well, it works in terms of how it looks, but the functionality, it's like, like come
Well, it
on,
depends on the functionality, right? Is she really like at the
is she
MCU? Let's
trying
be
to hide
honest.
herself?
Like the MCU has only got one secret identity going on right now.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe two with Daredevil, maybe two, but everyone
Yeah,
else is all out in the open. It's
open.
not like Kate Bishop's trying to hide who she is.
That's true.
That's
Captain
like
America's he's got his helmet off like 90% of the time, anyways. So.
exactly, Tom Holland can't keep the damn mask on for more than half an hour. If you're lucky, that thing's always coming off.
You're right, and obviously Iron Man. Like that.
Yeah, even with the faceplate down, you had to have a look at the shit. And he also kind of revealed himself to the world,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of
movie,
the first one, it's just like, yeah, I'm him. Like his ego kind of checked in. But
no,
I guess you're right.
it depends on what the functionality. If it's for an identity thing, then maybe a Domino mask can work. I guess it can, but if it's more there for, hey,
Aesthetic.
look, I am a brown girl from Jersey. It's not just the white people who can save the world. And yeah, it's
Like
it
an
serves its
aesthetic.
purpose because you can see who she is.
Yeah. But I think you might be right. I don't think they're trying to hide the identity.
No.
Well, I guess I don't know. That can't be true because the Department of Damage Control is 100% looking for.
Yeah, but they're blinded by racism, so they're just picking off any brown person.
It's true. It's so I never thought about that. Yeah, like
even that in the wedding episode, they're like, "Oh yeah, we got a brown girl. Cool, let's go." It's just like, what?
I kind of like that little because it's kind of true. It's kind of
it's one of those where
timely, very timely.
You need it because it's what happens. It's not something you really want to see. It's like,
Yeah,
if you like, it's brown or black or whatever, and you go like, oh, I don't want to see the racism stuff in all these shows. But it happens. It's just, is it unavoidable? Maybe you could tell a story without it, but would you be doing disservice to the character if you avoided all that stuff? It's like,
and I think up to this point, I think they have included that into the mix of the show, so it's not too far out there to have that scene where they just like grabbed any person and said, yeah, you look like the person that we're looking for, so we're gonna take you, man.
You match this vague description you have. Cool.
You're very vague, but you're brown skin, brown hair, Pakistani. All the check boxes are checked, so like, let's go. A little less violent than it happens in real life. But
it's so bad. It's just like
it's kind of timely and less violent.
Oh, it's extremely timely, but it's just like, oh,
I think that'll be timely in the next couple
of
years too. Yeah, but it's nice to see it's nice to see that included into the show because, like, let's face it, that's what a government agency would have probably done anyways. Just grabbed any brown person off the street.
It's nice to see it in the show to point out that it's bad.
Yeah.
And so people know that it's bad. It's not nice that it's in the show.
It is coming off as ignorant and brown and like phobic, So like it's not like it's played for laughs or anything like that. It's played for like, okay, this is actually how the government would work. Okay, I get it. And really
there's not a very nice light shined on these people, especially when you've got the really nice guy in the mask. And he's like, take off your shoes next time. It's just like, oh, yeah. You tell him I like you.
But it sucks that it happens to an agency that Tony Stark has created. kind of like shines a little bit of a negative light on him. But it's like once a government takes over anything, that's how it usually happens. It's like it's just.
I mean, Stark dragged through the mud recently, but
yeah, that's true.
Instead
of
Peter Parker, like.
Once the U.S. government takes over, that's when it becomes shitty. So. But
I enjoyed this. I like the inclusion of the Red Daggers in this.
Yeah.
Even though part of me is like, we could have just had the Red Daggers be the antagonists without the clandestine. It might actually been really interesting to have that dynamic, and then it flips where they're together and they're not actually they're fighting against each other. But
were they in the comics against?
There was a thing with Red Dagger and Ms.Marvel. Yeah.
Do you ever think that her mom has figured it out, or do you think she's just playing because obviously the grandmother knows, right?
Oh yeah, she knows,
but I feel like her mom is so she's so I don't want to.
I can see her being in denial about it, and that's why.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
I say that's why she's really mad at Kamado, but that's just another layer on top of why she's mad.
Yeah, she puts blinders onto the fact that that's because of her, how she disagrees with, because she's obviously avoiding her family altogether. She doesn't have very good feelings about her grandmother. The little tiff that
not great with her own mother.
Yeah, it has a little thing with her mother. Oh, I feel like she's
in fairness to her, she's totally valid with her feelings with her mother, because when you have a parent that is so obsessed with one thing, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna share this stuff with my daughter. It's like they don't need that; they need the mother. Just to paraphrase the show, I just realized that, but it's self-explanatory.
Not the right time. Yeah, it probably wasn't the right time to be, talking about the, be more like, hey, I need you as mental, help, stability in this time, not giving me fairy tales about.
It's you don't want to really share and be involved with the thing that you're being shunned for.
But that
very self-centered of the mother.
That kind of makes sense. I haven't had a grandmother in a long time, but when I did have a grandmother, she would do things like that. She's so they're so obsessed with certain things that they kind of put blinders to everybody around them, I get it. But
a lot of this show is the dynamics of the family is you hear a lot of people. I say a lot of people, the few South Asian people that I've watched talk about this show. They're like, oh, it's so accurate. It's this, that's exactly how it is. It's it's still relatable to as a white guy. It's still you can see the dynamics. If I'm an only child. I never had a brother or sister or anything. Obviously, I'm an only child. But there's some stuff you see the parents do. It's I can relate to
that. I get it. Yeah.
And, the whole thing of she's not allowed to Avengers Con. It's you're not allowed to certain places when you're a kid, and your mum's or your dad, your parents say no.
Especially in Hoboken. At nighttime, who wants to go to why would you send your kid literally send your kid alone with one other person about the same age downtown Hoboken without a shower. That's not a like I 100% understood that part. Like I was like, look, I mean, if you want to go, figure it out. I think they tried to figure it out in that first episode, and she didn't want to. But like, yeah, I get that, man. Like, it like everything that she is upset with, you can kind of relate to because I'm sure your parent has said that or done that, and it's like the ethnicity and like the culture kind of adds a layer to that.
Yeah, obviously, you probably get it in different ways, but like, there's always, if you look underneath it, like, just take away this is the stereotypical South Asian mother. Like, underneath it is like it's just mothers.
Yeah, like like my mother would say the same thing, but then like you also have the added layer of she's a person of different ethnicity, being alone, and she's what 16, 17, and like I mean you wouldn't think that would be a problem, but it is a huge problem, especially in that area, like when I was living in the area, I mean there was a lot of Asian people being assaulted, and like you don't want to send your kid out into that, and like I get it, and like it's bad when you're a white person. It's even worse when you're not.
Yeah. Though I will say I can't relate to just having a relative call up saying you have to come now, and then just flying halfway across the world. Like I'd be like, where you got the money from? Like those flights are like $7,000.
It looks like her mom's pretty well off, but I would.
That's a fair point. I have seen people talk about the how well off it looks like the grandma is, because that's a nice house.
Yeah, that's a huge house for Pakistan. I mean, but I think what was missing from that scene was her trying to explain to her mom how to get to that point. Like that would have been nice to see.
I would have liked to have seen that. Yeah,
between her.
Yeah, no, I would
because it's like one, it's kind of jarring.
But in fairness, the mother does say that that she spoke to the grandmother and she just kept insisting. It's like, you know what, fine, we'll come.
But it still would have been a nice conversation.
It would have been nice to see.
It would have set up the fact that she has some issues with her mother, too, be like, you could show her mother being a little hesitant about going there, not just because it's her, that she has like issues with her mom, but it's like, I guess dropping everything and just going to Pakistan. But I mean, I guess that's plausible because like, I'm sure that she would like to have Kamala come to the place of her, origin, but like, it still would have been nice to have a conversation, like a short conversation about like, hey, Nana said, we need to come, and just something to kind of fill in that, like,
just to ambush the mother with the phone, like she talked to her
and put her father in that conversation, just to see what anytime I can see her father in, that's good.
Because the father and the brother have really been sidelined. It's just like, oh, they're not here. I get why they're not there, but they're not there.
I mean, that's another thing. I want a little bit more of how the brother's feeling about like what is going on. I have a feeling that he knows too. I don't know. Maybe everybody.
It would have surprised me. Because to be fair, that is a missed opportunity, because it's literally she's just ruined his wedding and they've just buggered off to Pakistan. How's the brother taking this? Like, how's his wife taking this? I want to know.
Just like a 3-minute scene with everybody in the room and having that conversation probably would have been nice to see. Like it would have filled the gap, but I just because it just felt a little weird.
Would that 3 minutes have taken away from the 3-minute conversation Waleed had with Kamala, where she's not actually a jinn?
I think the conversation still would have been. I don't know. I just you're not.
Because he straight up says, well, he doesn't straight up say. It's heavily implied she's not necessarily the same. Jinn's not really a thing. It's not like a species. If he was born in the Himalayas, he'd be called a jinn. It's just like, like you do.
Yeah, like it's the little things like that that kind of sprinkle in that like is like it. I have a feeling that Jen is just something, uh, something that how like people don't understand certain things. They just label like especially back in
That's the feeling I'm getting. Yeah, it's like Jin's
like
just a
so like,
word for Inhumans.
yeah, so like before time, people didn't understand because they didn't have internet. And they didn't have like they just like if they seen a guy flying from the skies, they're gonna call that guy God because
Yeah, yeah.
like no human in there,
I
so
mean,
like
look at the Eternals. It's
maybe
exactly what
Jen
they
is
did. No.
it's true. But like yeah, I mean it could be just a little bit like that where like like in Eternals, like those primitive people have no idea what an Eternal is. So they're just assuming somebody flying from the sky shooting beams out of their eyes are gods. They're gonna
Yeah.
hey, these are gods, and they're gonna label these people as gods. So it could be the same thing with the Jinn, where it's just like it's just a word to describe them at the time of how they think what they are, versus of what
Yeah.
they actually are.
And it
If that
makes
makes
sense,
sense.
right? Because the humans are these weird Kirby powers, and they're not the thing you. They're more like the horrible side of like mutants are always like the nice side. You get the nice powers and the cool stuff. In humans, you get the weird shit you wouldn't want. Right.
Yeah, dog
So it
being
makes
a
sense
somebody.
for that's why like the demons, they're the genies, they're the jinn. Like it would all make sense. And him going like, oh,
Yeah.
your power's unique to you. Like, oh, really? Like,
Yeah.
even though we were kind of told that with the whole Trail of Stars thing for the train to Karachi,
Hmm.
in the partition bit, like, yeah, that was kind of obvious there. But the only
Yep.
thing that really is kind of off-putting my whole Inhumans thing and like the hopium for the Inhumans
Hmm.
is the other realm.
I mean,
The more like Tao Lao, Shang-Chi, Kunlun,
I mean,
Iron Fist sort of direction. I
well,
find
I
that
look
weird.
at that. I look at that as like maybe a reinterpretation of, you know, Attila. Maybe Attila is
Attilan.
in the
Yeah.
MCU. Attila. I'm sorry. My apologies. Attilan could be
That's my one
reinterpreted as
actually. Actually.
could be in the MCU reinterpreted as one of those cities that are in another
No.
dimension.
No.
Like
Don't like that. Don't like that. No.
you want a
Not a fan.
physical person on top of a mountain in the Himalayas. Is what you're
Well,
saying.
it's not a person, it's a
I
city, right?
that's true.
Also,
You want a
Attilan's
city on top
not. Attilan wasn't even the original one. Attilan's a more recent Inhuman settlement.
I'm just saying, like, maybe that's they're in for the
Hmm.
Inhumans. Like
I just
I don't
find
know.
it weird. It's like why the extra dimensional stuff. It just seems I don't know a bit slightly unnecessary.
Yeah.
Maybe because
I
people
mean,
are
and
going
then
like, "Oh, is
again,
this an incursion?" It's like, it's not an incursion. Shut up.
well, I
Everyone's
mean, then
saying it's
again,
incursion.
well, then again, you also had to look at it from the same thing as like the Jin conversation we just had. Like maybe they
True.
see
Yeah.
that and they just are seeing what saying what they see, versus of what actually is. I don't know.
Hmm.
I need to stop talking like a fortune cookie. Um, but
People pay good money for fortune cookies.
it's true. You know what? Side tangent. You knew that fortune cookies are an American invention? I had
I
no
have
idea.
watched Iron Man 3. Yes.
I
Or I saw the trailers for
I
Iron
don't.
Man
I
3
looked
because
it
I
up.
wasn't in the movie. No.
Well, I looked it up, and it's actually true.
Yeah.
It sounds like an American invention. Um,
It tastes
but
like one as
yeah,
well.
it tastes like ass. It's not good. It's not good at all. Like I don't think I've ever eaten a fortune cookie fully because it's just so bland. Like I don't know. It's like
So they're
wafers.
quite sweet over here. I imagine they're made differently,
Really?
but they're quite sweet. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sweet and
Maybe I'm
crunchy.
just not into the float. I don't like the taste. It's not. It's. I usually just take the fortune out and leave the cookie in the bag. But that's a side note, side tangent. But yeah, that's my theory is like maybe.
I mean, I can see it happening, but it just I don't know. It just seems a little bit too big a scale for what she currently is.
Yeah.
Like it seems to be big for the sake of being big. Like she's a street level. Like yes, she's gonna be in the Marvels. That's whatever. But she's like, why can't Kamala's stuff be small? Why has it got to be Dimension stuff? I just find it
unnecessary.
A bit, yeah. But, you know, if it is all a double bluff, then fine, whatever.
So
I'm sure I still enjoy the show because the show's good. It's just there's just some things that slightly.
Are we on our fifth? Are we on our fifth episode?
This was currently the fourth. The fifth is next week.
So, yeah.
Well, the fifth's coming up.
The fifth memory gauntlet.
I hope it's a memory gauntlet because speaking of, I totally forgot about that. The ending. All right. Yes. I will fully admit when she hit that bangle, I was like, oh no, that's a Negaband thing. No, that's not. that's how you make those things work. I don't like this direction. I'm getting slightly worried there. Yeah, I like the idea of where she's ended up. I find it. I'm confused to what actually is going on.
Have you ever thought about maybe it's a recording? Like she's in a recording, maybe.
I mean, I hadn't thought of that. Because my thing was she's either traveled back in time, but they don't give you a date. Obviously, we know when the date is because they told you before. Yeah. Like, it's 1942, or whenever it was, acting like I knew what it was. It was back then during the partition, so you know roughly where it is, but there was no visual flair to indicate it's from the bangle.
Yeah. Well, did she hit the bangle? Right?
Yeah, she
hit the bangle with the thing, and
you had the visual flair of her being taken to that point, but what I mean is there was no visual flair around her. Like with flashback stuff, you always get like the little dream sequency effects and all this. There was none of that. It was just this is clean, this is what it is, which gives me the idea that she's time traveled, but I don't think she has.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the case in the slightest. I think that'd be way too much for these shows. That
would be scary. To be transported, like you don't even know how to. But I mean, then again, if it's being transported back in time, you're obviously gonna see the other bangle. You're gonna see it.
Well, it'd be the same bangle, wouldn't it?
Or she's gonna meet her great grandmother, right?
Yeah. To be honest, that's what I was expecting. That's what I thought this was gonna end off on. Like in my head, I was like, oh no, the Trail of Stars is gonna be Kamala.
Yeah.
That was my first instinct. Is like if it is, she has time travel because she's bumping into people, so it's not like she's ethereal or they're ethereal, or whatever. Like she's physically there. It's just. No, obviously it's a cliffhanger for a reason, but it's just a little bit of directional push would have been nice for that ending. Yeah.
Something to indicate whether or not I think,
No, if it isn't memory, then fine. I don't know how the bangle works specifically, so it could very well be like there's a physical construct of everything. But then it has Kamala just completely vanished from that spot where the bangle was hit, or is she just like knocked out and Kareem's?
So are they positioning the bangle to be Kree, right? Right.
That's my assumption, yeah, because the blue hand in the cave. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm trying to think of maybe it's like how the Supreme Intelligence kind of works, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
You don't necessarily like disappear, but you are like kind of comatose. If that's I don't know. I don't know.
That actually makes a lot of sense if it's like a very early version Kree tech. It's obviously Kree. It's the Kree shade of blue that hand was. That sounded like a Yoda speak there. Kree shade of blue that hand was. The hand was a Kree shade, at least to me. You know, it could have been any other. But purely my assumption is Kree. That the hopium and the copium, whatever eum I'm taking right now, is saying it's Kree.
It's kind of south of Hela, but yeah, it's Kree.
Yeah. So it would make, if it's a very old Kree thing, it would make a lot of sense.
Like it's like an ancient, you know.
Yeah, it's just an old version of what Danvers was using to talk with Supreme Intelligence. But a recording of the last time it was used properly or whatever.
So where do you land though? Would you rather it be that or her actually time traveling and like learning her history?
I'd rather it be that. I'd rather it be like a actual recording and she's still in the same spot. She's not been transported back. Yeah, that's what I'd rather.
I kind of land on that too, because the time travel thing just sings a lot.
Yeah. I didn't like my first thought was it's time travel, but I never really brought that.
Because I do like the idea of her being the person who leads her mother to the train. I like that. That's kind of cool. But like
I like it, but I don't think it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that means she's taking the bangle off to give it to the kid that her grandmother is currently, to then see her do this. But there's no mention of a Kamala from the grandmother.
Yeah, like no woman gave it to me, but like it's kind of sloppy in a way because like you're like it's kind of predictable because you see that you would see that a lot in those types of movies. But like I'm more on it's a recording of whatever.
It's a recording of that night. Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that one.
Yeah. So because the bangle was there and it could have been recording that night of what's going on, and like, but tell me this though, if it's time travel, how shocked would you be if you woke up and that's where you are? How I would be. I think the first thought in my head is like, where's the bathroom? Because I have to poop. Because I don't know, like that would scare me, right? You're not only time traveling to a later period, but you're also time traveling into probably one of the most dangerous periods of that era in that area, and like,
because millions of people died there. Like, they've never been properly reported how many people died in partition, accidentally or on purpose. Like, it's horrendous time.
Yeah, we'll see on Wednesday about that.
So you've only got a few days left to find out. Like.
So how many more episodes do we have left?
2
more. So after this one's 2 or 2?
Yeah, you got 5 and 6. Yeah.
So 5 and 6. So, wow, they
have a lot to cover. Again, a Marvel show within 6 has got a lot. No, I can't blame the runtime because they've been quite good with this show. Like,
they've been in the 45,
50. Yeah, it's been a nice, decent length. Like, you could go that little bit extra, just a little bit more. Like, the amount of stuff you can cover in 10 minutes in the show is nuts. Like, just got that little bit extra.
There's a lot of people to thank, man. Come on, like, are you the type of person that just doesn't like credits, or you just?
I mean, I haven't got a problem with credit. I mean, a 10-hour-long credit is a slight problem. Like, how many people did you actually need to work on this thing? But, there's nothing wrong with credits. It's just like, if you get, you can have an hour-long show and make it 10 minutes longer for credits.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be either or. Like, Stranger Things is 4 hours for the finale. Like, just just go ahead.
2.5 hours for the last episode. Like, and they've been steadily like an hour and a half. Like, at the very least.
If they can do it, everyone else can do it. It's fine. Go for a full hour. Make it the norm.
There's also pitfalls when it comes to doing that too, because like, I think once you start adding more time to it, then you start can we add this stuff into this? And then I don't know. I think you start opening yourself up to being like putting things in that doesn't necessarily have to be put in there.
Yeah, but if you just think, right, if it was an hour long, you could have had that conversation with the parents about going to Pakistan.
It's true.
There's no reason why you couldn't have had that in this episode.
That's true.
It's a conscious choice to make it 45 minutes.
It's true. I'll bring that up the next time. It's true. You've
Like,
convinced
look, the memory gauntlet needs to be an hour. Let's make it an
me.
hour.
Yes. The
Because
fans have spoken.
I tell you what, if episode 5 is a memory gauntlet and it is all just recordings of the Bangle and what it's done throughout time and what it actually is and where it's come from, fantastic. I would love that episode.
I feel like that's what you're gonna get is more of an explanation because you gotta explain the like. There's been a mystery up to this point. You only have 2 more episodes. You can't string it out any longer.
Yeah.
You have to explain.
Unless that memory gauntlet ends with yeah, she's not any human and I've been honey dicked this entire time, then I'll have a problem.
Surprise! You're gonna get Kevin Feige on the screen going surprise.
Yeah, I will. I will be exceedingly mad.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for sure you're gonna get the explanation of what the bank was because.
Yeah. It's the right time to explain what it is by having flashbacks and memory gauntlets.
Yeah, I mean,
which I'm excited about.
Once you did that, you kind of set yourself up to have that episode, right? You cannot if you don't go through with that episode of like going through the memories, then why is she being transported to that period? If it's not for explaining things, because like. And plus, you just have at some point you have to explain. You can't just keep it a mystery forever. You have to.
No, though I was before this conversation. Actually, I didn't even really think of that memory gauntlet stuff. I was expecting that stuff to be explained in the Marvels. It's like, this shows exists to introduce her and set up a mystery. It was all going to pay off in the Marvels. Like we're going to do it a bit more.
I think the Marvels is going to expand it a little bit, but I think you're going to get. You have to get answers. You can't just string people along for 6 episodes.
That's what Marvel's done for 15 years.
That's true.
Look at the 10 Rings.
Nah,
they strung us along with the Mandarin thing since Iron Man 3. That was 10 years ago.
I think that was an accidental thing, to be honest with you, because I don't think that was meant to happen until.
It's an accidental strung along is still being strung along. They threw the carrot out and everyone latched onto it and they pulled it along until Shang-Chi
it's the longest con. But I feel like this episode is set up to be exposition to tell you about.
I've got no worries about Marvel exposition because I don't think they do it bad. I always think they do it just right, and I like the gauntlet stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, it's always fun it's probably the funnest way to get an exposition dump.
Like
you're gonna get an exposition dump. You might as well do it this way. Like if you do it any other way,
it's a lot better than 2 people just literally sitting looking at the screen telling me exactly what's going on. It's like okay.
That's boring as hell. Like show me. Like they tend to show more than they talk about sometimes, and it's not a bad thing.
No.
But
then Marvel's half and half on that. Sometimes they just don't explain anything in the slightest. It's like just go with it. just run with it. It's dumb. Just go. Like you'll like it. It's ridiculous. Just carry on. Let's watch the movie.
Stay with me, guys.
And sometimes you get that. Dreams are a peek into our multiversal selves, and it's like, can you elaborate? No. Okay.
Not yet.
That's an interesting idea. What implications does that have for other previous projects you've done with dreams? Like, what does that?
Oh, that's in Doctor Strange 3. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's prime for such.
Nightmare! How interesting! Nightmare's the villain of the 3rd one. Confirmed. There you go.
I mean, everybody wants him. He's the second. Yeah. He's the second to Mephisto. You're gonna get.
Please. Mephisto and Nightmare. God. Final thoughts, just real quick. I enjoyed this episode. I look forward to a memory gauntlet. If it's not a memory gauntlet,
And when Jared comes on, I'll definitely tell that story about setting up the memory gauntlet.
Yes, I almost told him the other day. I was yesterday. I was like, do I tell him? I was like, no. I'm gonna.
I want to hear the joy in his. I want to hear the joy in his. He might do a Nick Scream. Who knows? You know.
If Jared can do a Nick Scream, I'd be disappointed that he hasn't done it before. But
yeah. I mean, that is true. Like that
he's
is
an
a
ample opportunity to do a Nick Scream. He hasn't done it, so
your vocal cords will never thank you. Like,
Jared might be too old to do that sort of a scream. In fairness,
it's true. You know, like the testicles have dropped on Jared. So.
But speaking of Nick, I'm trying to work it out with him to do Umbrella Academy to join us on that one. So
cool.
Just gonna drop that out there.
Still haven't watched it, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was pushing that right to the end of the list of everything. You know, we've got The Boys. Yeah. Does The Boys end next week?
It does, I think. Yeah, I think the 7th episode was today. And
yeah, so we might have to do what we've done for Kenobi. Do The Boys next. This is a little peek behind the curtain because I'm still recording.
Yeah.
do The Boys on Friday, then Ms.Marvel on the Monday again, and do it that way.
Yeah. Or yeah. I mean,
as if you can.
Or we could do. I mean, I think doesn't Nick watch that show? You can just do double thing with The Boys and Umbrella again.
Yeah, I mean, we could do. I'll think about that one. We'll
that's a possibility.
I'll figure something out. We'll get it done.
Yeah. Either way.
But, right?
It'll happen. Yeah.
So I think your signal is dropping slightly, so I'm going to end it right. So thanks everyone for joining, and we'll catch you all next week for episode 5, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the memory gauntlet episode. So bye bye.